Hello and welcome to another video, and in this one I'm going to show you how to go from this to this in just over 4 days so you can build your very own bespoke display unit media wall. Okay, so some great news. I can finally start working on my bespoke display case. It's going to be all the way from the floor to the ceiling and wall to wall, and it's going to have all my retro stuff on it. There'll be a TV in the middle, the games consoles, the cathode ray TV, the Lego. So by having it all here, I'm going to have a really fantastic background for when I'm doing my YouTube videos in the future, and also it's going to free up space for the worktop that's going to come in, because I'm basically moving from the garage inside to do that kind of filming. So I just wanted to talk about the process that I've done in designing the bespoke display that I'll be doing. So if I bring this in to you here, you can see what I did was work out the distance from wall to wall and floor to ceiling. And one of the important things you need to do is, unless you're going to be building this like actually in position, you need to take into account the fact that you might be lying it flat and then moving it up. Once that had happened, I then broke down each of these areas, working out how big my TV is, and the fact I'm going to be kind of mounting my TV into the wall on an extending TV thing once it's done. But then I needed to work out how big each of these areas needed to be, such as like the largest Lego set that I had, or bits and bobs, and arrange that accordingly. I'll be building this from MDF, and I'm going to go for 18mm thick MDF. I just think it will work with the rest of the features that are going in the room in terms of thickness, and I'm also thinking of doing something a little bit special, but we'll see if and when that happens, so stay tuned. So that's us here at the wholesalers now, and this is the stuff I'm looking for, and you can see the size of this panel. This basically just over 2 meters by 1 by 18mm. There's quite a thickness on that, and because of that it's actually really heavy. So I've got one of these trolleys, but if you're picking up these pieces of wood, it's always helpful if you've got someone with you to help you, because they are really heavy. But hopefully once it's all chopped down, it'll be more manageable for me when I'm loading it on, because I'm going to have like I say 4 of these, and then when I go over to the woodworking or the wood cutting place, I've already worked out the most efficient way to cut all of these down. So some of them will make the side panels, and other of them will just be cut all the way down to make the required number of shelves that I need. So I'll be taking it over to there in a minute, and then getting all paid up and taking it home. So here we have it. It's probably been about a good 10-15 minutes of cuts, but you can see by getting the professionals to do it with the industrial size saws, they're all going to be pretty much exactly the same. It would have taken me a lot longer to do this at home. Okay, so I'm back with all the wood, and I just wanted to show you what I was talking about with that angle. So I've got a piece of the MDF here, one of the tall bits that's going to make up the sides, and I'm going to show you me standing it up from the floor now. So hopefully the ceiling will be in shot. So it's on its long end, now it's on it to its short end as it's coming up now. And as it comes up, it's that angle there is approaching, and you can see I've just got coming up there. So when it's done, I've got maybe 3 fingers, but when it's at this angle here, I've maybe only got 2. So that's going to allow me, if I want to, build it flat on the floor and then raise the whole thing up. Okay, at this point there's been a slight change of plan. So initially I was going to prime and paint all the wood and then assemble everything. But the problem is I have so many pieces, it would literally take forever. So what I've had to do is the alternative, which is I'm going to build everything and then paint it in place. What I have done, even though I haven't painted them, is I've just very lightly sanded them with like a very fine grit, so 240 grit. That was just to smooth off the edges here and give it just the slightest of key for when it does get primed later on. With the clamps, if you've only got 2 small ones, you can just put them together like that. So I just clamped this section in the middle, lightly put that one in, and then that's let me get this across here. That one's almost in as well, so it just makes it a bit easier to work on the sides, putting the screws in, than, you know, trying to build it stood up or bits falling everywhere. So just a top tip for you to use. So it's coming along quite nicely. That's the base coming up there, and then to this is where the games consoles are going to sit, running up here. So I've got another two to go in. This is the larger bit for the TV, so there'll be one here and then a further one up here. All being built kind of on the flat, which means I've been putting in around 3 screws, 1, 2, 3, and then once I get it up, I'll put in the final one. And then to ensure that these are flat, it's mainly just use of my right angle, and then I'll do some gross error checks between here with the tape measure and over there as well. So I'm going to keep cracking, and I'll see you when this one's complete. Right, so some good progress has been made. This is the centre section all put together. Nothing too major. There was slightest of cracks just here, but really mild. I think it was just on the first couple, so I just moved up my screw holes in a little bit more. The reason I went for the 18, it's really heavy to work with, but you can see the strength of these 18s with plenty of support in the middle. No need for kind of additional battens or supports in the middle. Right, welcome to day number 2, and as you can see, I actually managed to get the first of the 2 side ones done yesterday. Really pleased with that. I was working till about 11:30 at night though, trying to get it done. And so this morning, time to get on with the second one, and then also, fingers crossed, get on with the painting. Right, so there we have it. That's all 3 sections built now. And then when I was trying to work out how to paint it, ideally I'd probably lay it down flat. It would be a bit easy, but again, I'm really short on space in here, even if I take the desk out. So I'm going to take a bit of a gamble and hope it pays off, which is drag them all out. So we're all going to be in the room the longer way along the room. And I'm just going to be really careful with the painting. So here we are at the end of day 2. And as you can probably tell from looking out the blinds, it's pitch black out there. It's taken absolutely hours to finish this. I did decide I wasn't going to do the sides just to save a little bit of time, because it's just taken so long brushing in all the 4 corners and then rollering the rest and doing it twice. I think possibly if it looks good tomorrow, I'll just get straight on with the painting. Day 3, the light's back. I've just had my breakfast and a coffee. It's just after 8 o'clock. The paint's come up really nicely. I think I will give it a very light sand, like a 240 grit, just before I start painting. We get 2 coats of a satin black enamel to go on. I did go for a water-based paint, and that's why I made sure I did 2 good coverings with this MDF primer to make sure it's really going to take. So here we have the end of day 3. Disappointingly, I was hoping to have everything over there and done, but it's taken me 2 and a bit coats, and it's still a bit tacky now. So if I push into the paint, it's leaving a slight mark. So I'm going to have to leave them overnight now. So we're going to roll into a day 4 just to let the paint really harden up. And there's something special I want to do in day 4 as well. So stay tuned for day number 4, and then hopefully we'll get to the final result. Okay, here it is. It's finally all finished on day 4, and I'm really happy with it. I'll just move out of the way. You can see it's exactly as I imagined. We've taken it all the way from this diagram here all the way to this in 3, call it 4 days. If you remember, the process was, first of all, designing this and remembering to factor in how to put it up to the ceiling with extra height. You then saw me on day 1 go and get all the material, and I chose to get it cut at the place where I bought it. And day 1 I managed to get the big one done and one of the sized ones. Day number 2 I got on to building the second one, and then also started priming. Because this is MDF and it absorbs water, I used MDF primer. It took me about 5 hours to do the first coat because I've got such a big surface area. The first coat, when you put it on, you just don't think it's taking, but you've got to resist the urge to put it on thick. Just go with that thin coat, just make sure there's enough on. So all the way through. By the time I finished the third one, the first one was ready, but the second coat was a bit quicker, so I had to slow up before I did the last one. So 2 good coats of that. Moving on to day number 3, that was a full day of painting, so another 5 hours of putting on the first coat of emulsion. Then I had to do another coat all the way through, and it still hadn't fully taken, so I had to do almost like a half coat on areas where there was a bit of speckling. And then I had to leave it. I wanted to move it at the end of day 3, but it was tacky. If you put your fingers into it, you're kind of just leaving marks. So I had to leave it, and I've left it another 24 hours, came home, pushed it back into position, I've got a little surprise with this one as well. So I've just filmed this, which is the installation of some LED rope lights. So if I just turn off the lights now, I'll give you a little teaser, turn that off, hit the button down here, and you can see I've got these lights in here. But if you want to know more about that, definitely check out the video. I'll link it probably up here. There'll be a link or a card or something like that. But I am interested in your thoughts. Do you like what I've done as a bespoke display area? And would you have done it in a different order? Would you have potentially painted it first for ease and then cut it down yourself? Anything at all. You know, it's certainly not a perfect build by any means, but I'm certainly happy with it, and I welcome your thoughts. But until the next one, all the best, take care, and see ya. Okay, so here's some bonus content for you lucky people. Basically, I've just been so busy between filming the initial video and making the display unit that I've actually had time to have a first stab at putting everything on. And so I thought it might be nice to show you what the finished result looked like, because I was telling you all the way along where things were going to go. So the TV's been mounted into the wall. We've got the games consoles that I mentioned with a ton of wires behind there, some Lego and some other bits and bobs. I will be finessing things around, and next in the studio there'll be a new table coming in here. There'll be a smaller one over here, which is going to have basically a very similar type thing built around it, so I can bring it out. So fingers crossed in the future you'll see me kind of sat over here, and that'll be the background, which is also really good for testing, and it also means I can just spin around and actually use my games console. So I hope you appreciate having a look at the final stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video.